door or a prelude of what you're about to see. I should tell you that one of the things that I also enjoyed about this documentary is that Mr. Ayoshonaya did a very good job of really emoting to the audience of why he decided to create this documentary. Him being part of, like, again, part of the pioneers of creating and orchestrating the platform to bring Afrobeats to the world. It's something that I believe it's somewhat very personal to him. Again, you have to watch the documentary because it really tells a story of how we got into entertainment law. And his journey really started, I believe, when he decided to do a documentary on Femi Kuti rather, Fela's son, Femi Kuti. And that journey subsequently took him into so many paths where I believe he ended up becoming a manager for K1 The Ultimate, Wasiu Ayinde, I believe. All you Fuji people there, please don't kill me. I believe, yes, it's K1 The Ultimate. But Mr. Ayoshonaya was or could still be K1 Ultimate's manager. So his journey, obviously being a lawyer and interested in entertainment, took him on this path and really, I would say, propelled him to be the perfect person to create this documentary. Another poignant thing that I really like about the documentary is that they really took the time to focus on the pioneers. Some of the folks that I have not even heard of in a while, or folks that I've never even heard of before. Recall I mentioned episode 1 is titled OG Before IG and the 3 boy bands, which I believe one of them is Pretty Busy Boys, I believe, and Clapper Boys. Those were like the original boy bands that helped pioneer Afrobeats. And also one thing that I would say is that I really enjoyed about them giving us that backstory is because it really showcased the organic aspect of how Afrobeats was brought to the limelight. Who were the movers and the shakers, who were involved, what bands, what type of music were they making, and how the sound sort of developed over time. They really they also talked about the tribesmen, which I would say is one that I actually can say I know, one of the boy bands that I actually know, the Tribesmen. And they talked about all of those more recent entertainers that some of you may be familiar with. There are again 12 episodes, and you will see the likes of The Bench, Don Jazzy. You will see obviously Davido, Wizkid, several of them, Tiwa Savage. Just if you're an Afrobeats Nigerian music lover, I mean, the names are endless here. Burna Boy, I mean, everybody's in this documentary, and I really enjoyed the fact that they sort of took us on a journey. So Afrobeats then, and you know, where we were, what happened in between, and where we are now. Like, how did we get to this now euphoria where people all over the world is listening to Afrobeats? How did we arrive with Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, Tiwa Savage? I mean, it's endless. The backstory, and really, which is the title of the documentary, Afrobeats, the backstory. It really tells you that backstory, and there's so many neat stories in this documentary that you would really not know unless you watch the documentary. For instance, The Bench, I believe, was part of the one of the first I believe concerts, or or the recent concert, well, I should say part of the first concert rather, that they had in England. And The Bench was one of the performance at this concert in England many years ago, and how that really is sort of like his premiere, his introduction to the world. So it really gives you the backstory of how that became. And also there's another interesting backstory there about the bench and Kanye West. And I don't know if anyone saw the concert where Kanye West took off his necklace or his chain and put it on the band's neck. I believe it was a show, I believe in England, and where Kanye West came to perform. So it was a surprise performance, and took off his chain and put it on the band's neck. There's a really interesting backstory that Mr. Ayashonaya really gives you about this event, and how it all sort of came about, and it's just so interesting. All of the again, backstories and information that we, the audience, really would never know about unless someone created such a documentary. I should certainly say that one of the things that I also learned, that I think he really did a good job really explaining to the audience, is the difference between Afrobeat and Afrobeats. Yes, Afrobeat without the S, and Afrobeat with the S. So at first, when I was watching the documentary, I was a bit confused about that. It took me maybe by episode 2 or 3 for me to really get it. They really did a good job telling us the difference between Afrobeat and Afrobeats. So you know, I'm not going to give you too much, but you have to check it out, because it really tells you the historical aspect of what Afrobeat is and what is actually Afrobeats. And all I can say is Fela is known as obviously the pioneer of Afrobeat, and the difference is really in the way in you know, so much about music is really explained in this documentary too, about beats and sounds, and what differentiates Afro beats from any other music that you will hear in any part of the world. So this documentary not only tells you about, you know, the history or the backstory of Afrobeats, but also really does a good job about explaining music in terms of the difference in sound, and just really how music has spread all over the world, and how Afrobeats is even used in other music that we hear from the Western world. So I say this all to say, check out this documentary. It's really, really good. If you're a music lover, if you're Nigerian, and even if you're not Nigerian, but you enjoy Afrobeats, you love Nigerian music, you need to check it out. And also, let me not forget, it really also tells you some of the collaboration with Nigerian artists, and really the role that Ghana played in terms of creating Afrobeat and Afrobeats. So, you know, let's not forget, it's not just about Nigerians, and Nigerians are not the only one making good music and good entertainment. Our brothers and sisters in Ghana are doing a fantastic job, and honestly, this documentary will give you some interesting aspect of who owns Afrobeat or Afrobeats, I guess, depending on where you're from. If you're Nigerian or Ghanaian, kind of like the jollof rice debate, you'll have to decide. And I do apologize. It looks like my light went off. So if I look a little, it looks like I'm in a darker room. I apologize. My